Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for participating in Newark Public Schools athletics during this very challenging time. I would just like to review a few things with you. When I say few, I mean a lot. So bear with me and thank you very much for what you do for our community. Hello. Some of you may recognize me because I look exactly like my emoji. My name is Colleen McCann. I'm an athletic trainer with Newark Public Schools for many, many years. I'm not going to lie, my favorite sport is basketball. No disrespect to the other sports, but my heart is where my hair is, and it's all over the place, especially during the gym during basketball season. All right, the first and foremost thing that we must all agree upon, we all have to work together to be the hygiene enforcement team. It really is all hands on deck, from bus drivers to security to coaches to whomever is going to be around our children. It is a whole new paradigm we're dealing with. There's the COVID, stop the spread of germs. If you'd like to get that tattooed on yourself and refer to it, again, we must be the hygiene enforcement team, and we're dealing with a little more challenging of a population with elementary kids who love to sit still. All right, we have to do a pre-game screening. As we are evolving and coming into our buildings, you're starting to see what the process is like. Those of you that did coach any sports prior to this will be very well that we have ingress procedures that must be followed. The NFL, the NBA, the NHL, all of these organizations with a lot more money have not succeeded completely with their seasons. So we're up for a big challenge. You cannot use locker rooms, period. No locker rooms. All athletes will bring a uniform and be ready. They'll have their pre-game screenings already done. Coaches, medical personnel, what happens to you guys? When you get here, we'll be screened prior to the athletes getting there. Also, you must do your online COVID questionnaire. The online COVID questionnaire is the guideline that will get us through contact tracing if there's ever an outbreak. We cannot, I repeat, cannot, no volunteer, no friends, no people that have been on the bench for 20 years. It is a process now. We must be cleared, vetted, and made sure we are COVID free for our children and for our community. Medical staff, we will screen the referees. Referees are required to wear masks, but if you have an asthmatic referee, obviously they won't wear masks. It is strongly encouraged that the referees wear masks. All athletes cannot compete and cannot get on your bus until they've had their daily COVID questionnaires completed. Again, that is needed for contact tracing. Think about all the sites you're going to go to and all the people that are in those buildings. We need to have access to all that information: who was there, where was the exposure, so that all people can be phone called and we can do our best to prevent the next outbreak or the next spread. That is why it's so important that they do those COVID questionnaires. I don't care. Make them do it. It is our guideline to making sure the community is safe. COVID questionnaires should be submitted in Google Docs 2 hours before start time. That way we can review them. Any yes answer eliminates the athlete from competition. You tell them to stay home. This will also require medical clearance. If they have a runny nose due to sinusitis or allergies, that's fine. Come back in 3 days with your doctor's note, and we will be moving forward. Temp scans, temperature scans, just like you're entering your buildings, will be done before students enter the bus. The temperatures must be recorded on the rosters. The athletes will sanitize their hands at check-in for 30 seconds. Any temperatures 100.4 or higher will exclude the athlete from entering. The athlete must go to the quarantine area. A parent will be contacted and the child will be picked up, given COVID information sheets, and will need medical clearance to return. For those of you that are wondering what that medical paperwork is, it's on slide 12. All equipment must be sanitized before and after games. All equipment must be sanitized before and after games. And I was on a committee and it was very funny. There is now a title of ball washer. We must, and I don't care how silly you feel as an adult male or female, we must sanitize the balls prior and after practice. You don't think about this, but if you're going to use a thermometer to check children, wipe it down. Wipe down thermometer, even if you are wearing gloves, just to get into a new practice, the new paradigm. We have to sanitize everything because you just don't know what's going on. As you can see, sanitize, sanitize, sanitize. You don't know where the ball has been. You don't know if anyone face planted themselves into the ball like this young man here did. Bus seating. Now, coaches, I know you don't have a lot to do and you need more stuff to do. Now you have to think about how you're going to sit your athletes on the bus. Obviously, we, the drivers in Newark Public Schools, have been trained and they should practice all their safety actions and protocol. Um, all highly touched service areas have to, and touched areas have to be cleaned and disinfected daily. Drivers can create distance, and hopefully, coaches, you'll step in and help with this because unless you've had the same driver for 20 years, like Waddy did when she'd go downtown to Tom's River, that relationship is important. So if you don't know your driver, the coach, you need to step up, tell the kids, hey, when your hands are clean, let's open all these windows, let's space them out. You must help with the bus seating, and you really should think about it. You should plan it before game day. Um, just like an airplane, if you've been out traveling, which I hope you haven't been, because then you need quarantine for 14 days. Coaches will instruct athletes to load back to front. So your first kid gets screened, scanned, cleaned, all the way to the back. Children need guidance. They want to all sit next to each other. This is, again, a new paradigm. You have to be on the bus and you have to patrol and say, hey, please separate, open the windows. Again, your equipment, that'll be stored in the first seat. Masks will be worn at all times on the bus, unless you're doing something that would impede your breathing. However, keep your mask on. Windows should be open. Please get into a good relationship with your bus driver. Say, hey, can we leave these open? And if it's the same bus picking you up in 2 hours, leave the windows open. Allow the bus to aerate. However, if it's a liability or if the bus driver feels it's unsafe, it is their discretion to close them. But when you are traveling and when the children are in the bus, it's best to open. Do not let them eat or drink on the bus. I'm sure this was a past practice. This is a practice that will not happen. Eating or drinking, your mask is off, you're exhaling. We are trying to reduce contact because, again, the NBA, with all their protocols and testing every hour on the hour, we're not able to successfully complete all their seasons. Athletes, again, will unload the bus from front to back. Boom, people in the front leave first, and please space them out. Space them out. The community is going to be watching us, and getting on and off the bus will set the tone. We should show that we are in control, that we are spacing the children out, and that we are doing our best. Parents who wish to transport a child, that's fine. They can do so, but permission slips, proper protocols need to be in place. Just showing up at the end of the game saying, "Hey, I'm here to pick my child," doesn't cover us. We would need a permission slip and prior arrangements. That does make it safer if the child is with their family coming back and forth. However, when we're on the bus, we all need to work together to space out and air out. At arrival to the site, the athletes will report to their sideline and place bags down 6 feet apart. Again, coaches, you're going to be in the director's seat doing this. You have to help the kids. You really have to cross your T's and dot your I's on this and make sure that we are all on the same page. Kids, we're spacing out. They're going to be excited. I'm excited, but it's still, we have to be the hygiene enforcement. Masks are to remain on. When you're warming up and it's nice and easy, masks are on. Athletes need to have their own water and keep it in their bag so it's not rolling on the floor, or if you have that accidental, someone grabs your water. Again, it's all about hygiene, and it's all about making sure the kids place their stuff in an area they can find it quickly. They need to sit in the same seat the whole game. Masks, once they need to be taken off, should be placed inside the bag. Now, my high schoolers didn't do so well. You get called into the game, what do? Fling it right to the ground. We have to watch for that. It's going to happen. We'll carry spare masks, but we have to train the children and the new paradigm shift. Hey, once you're ready to get in the game, the mask goes in a nice clean area. If you want to bring a Ziploc bag, it helps. Um, Coaches, you have to tell the kids where to go in warmups. By the third or fourth game, it'll be routine, but we have to come in hard and heavy and make sure, hey, we're doing this right with proper spacing. If your athletes need to go to the bathroom, one at a time, and again, soap and water, please emphasize to wash their hands for 30 seconds. Spare cases of water will be available at game sites. Although children are required to bring their own water, children are children. They will forget. It is my understanding that the district will provide water at our sites. Again, athletes must sit in the same seat all game. I would think maybe putting tape, their number, their name, tape and number the seat, whatever your educational background and experience with your kids can allow you to make better decisions to help them sit in the same seat all game. All ideas are welcome as long as they are safe. My idea is, hey, maybe just get a piece of tape, put their name on it, put their bag right there, and just re-emphasize to them, same seat all game, same seat all game. When you're on the bench, your masks will be worn all time. When you're on the bench, your mask will be worn, and it will cover the nose. Bench seating. Again, I know I'm repeat. Each athlete must remain in the same seat all game, label if needed. Seats have to be sanitized after each game. Athletes bag near or under their spot. Water shall remain in bag. Again, masks are placed in the bag. Obviously, if your athlete comes out and is having difficulty breathing, don't say, hey, put your mask on. Breathing recovery will occur. Once they're done recovered breathing, which means they're breathing normally again, mask up. For all of you that I know are not watching the NCAA March Madness, most of you probably do have the app on your phone. Watch what they're doing. I wish I could have this set up right now with all the Powerades and everything labeled. It's absolutely brilliant. And if you do look, they are using the bleachers to expand seating in some of the smaller colleges. So use those bleachers. Use those bleachers because we need to create maximum space from the bench. Let's use the bleachers to seat our players. Again, maximize your space, create distance, constant education, constant harping on the children. Hey, keep your mask on, space out. Keep your mask on, space out. Because what I'm saying is kids are kids and they're going to congregate and they're going to stay close. So again, we all have to be on this together. Once game starts, athletes not in the game again must wear masks, sit 6 feet apart. Athlete coming out of the game shall put the mask back on when breathing returns to normal. When an athlete is being summoned to sub for another player, they need to remove their mask, place in the bag, warm up in a designated area away from the sitting athletes. You don't want them doing jumping jacks right next to the bench. Again, use your common sense, look at your space before the game, have a plan of attack as to what you're going to do, because again, it's a whole new paradigm. What you used to do routinely, now you have to actually think through. Athletes should sanitize hands before and after entering the game. What we've been doing at the high school level is a big jug right at the scorer's table each side. Trust me, the kids do not have a problem sanitizing their hands entering and exiting. Just have to give them a little bit of a reminder. No sharing of anything. Do not share anything. Do not share water. Do not share towels. No sharing. I know sharing is caring, but right now it's not. Game injuries. Hopefully, all the games will be covered. It's medically, we're pulling people left and right to do vaccinations, and we have sports all on top of each other now, which is a good thing. But gloves and masks will be worn when attending to an injured athlete. Non-injured athletes should not gather around as they love to do. Again, remind them, please go 6 feet away. If the ref allows it, the kids can go sanitize, go get a drink of water. It's a whole new era of sports where it's a little more laid back as far as trying to keep people apart. Any athlete exhibiting COVID signs or symptoms will be removed, taken to a predetermined quarantine area, and be evaluated. If you find that their symptoms need to be addressed, you have to report it to their parents and to the site manager at that place or myself as well. Any athlete exhibiting COVID symptoms will be removed, returned home with a parent, and will need a medical clearance from an MD or DO to return to sport, stating sport, meaning they can't go to the acupuncturist and say, "Hey, they said I'm good." We need a medical doctor or doctor. Most kids have their own pediatrician, but it must say they're allowed to return to sport. It just can't say activity. You must specify sport, and if you can't get them to specify the actual sport, it's more helpful for us. Here's just an example of the take home COVID sheet for a positive athlete that is accessible on the website. The link was at the bottom of this, and I will make sure we all get that link because this is a little menu because people are concerned. They don't know a little home advice to hang on your refrigerator. This is very, very helpful for the athlete that's positive as far as giving them, hey, when you get back, this is what we're going to do. Again, paradigm shift. I love the elementary level children. I enjoy the fact that they need more hugs. I don't know why that is, but they love hugs. Air hugs is now the way to go. We are not touching, high fiving, and they're doing it in the NCAA. I know it's the Final Four, but they're all jumping and touching and high fiving. No, 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 no. Wrong. Air hugs, no touching, contactless. Think air high fives. Be creative, but teach your children how you want them to celebrate because it's very normal when that game-winning bucket goes in to want to just pick everyone up and hug, but you can't. So go over that prior. After game procedures, again, no handshaking will occur. No celebration involving contact to occur. I cannot control human nature, though. No after game huddle. Coaches, if you need to review the game, you got to space the kids out. Do it outside or do a game wrap up virtually. Anyone needing to use the restroom again will need to go one at a time. Follow proper hand washing routine. If your team leaves a lot of trash for some reason, please have it picked up. Everyone sanitizes their hands before they pick up trash. Masks will be on. All equipment must be sanitized by the coaches before loading on the bus. Now, what's worked for me at Science is I have a good rapport with my head custodian, and he has this gun of sanitization, and he shoots all my stuff very quickly. If you don't have that, please understand the balls have to be clean. Think of the guy's face eating that ball. It could happen, and you don't want to be the coach that didn't take proper precautions. So every little thing helps, and cleaning of the balls is one. Again, athletes have to sanitize prior to entering the bus. Seating will be the same as arrival. Try to explain that to your children. Bus seating is very important so that we stay safe, that we keep the season going. You can sit next to each other next year. This year, to keep the season going, we're going to space out. Again, load back to front. Again, a student could go in with a parent if you have the permission slip. The front's unloaded, vice versa. We go front to back. Um, and again, coaches, you have to become the traffic controller. Flow of traffic is up to you. Athletes, as soon as they get off the bus, they all want to congregate, talk around, and reminisce. Nope, please do not congregate. Go home. Go directly home. If you still are feeding your children, which I highly recommend against, however, I do understand some of our children, food is very much appreciated, and I love feeding the children. But if you are giving to them, it's grab and go. The end of year pizza party, the end of year celebration cupcake time, that is going to return one day, hopefully. But during this time, Newark Public Schools, we are grab and go only if you are, and make it something they can just unwrap later. That's your best bet. The NFL and the NCAA have established and determined high risk behaviors. They have things like watches that track you the whole time that you're around other players, and it'll beep after a certain time. Their technology is quite amazing. What they have found that we can kind of extrapolate and use into our population is, hey, what's the biggest offender of the virus spreading? Large social gatherings, eating together, meeting in small places, ride sharing. One that was found in college, the second biggest transmission was from your roommates. So out of all the data that they found with all this money, it's the things that really are going on outside of our control. So it is our job to educate your athletes. Hey, if there's a big family wedding, if you're going to go, sit outside and wear a mask all the time. I mean, just know your children, know what they're doing, know if they're traveling, and make them communicate effectively with you. Because if they are traveling, if they are going to a big family gathering, let's just be safe and make sure follow uh, proper precautions are followed, and that they're aware of what these precautions are: masking, distancing, airing out. When should an athlete stay home? Well, positive test, you're staying home. If you have any of the symptoms, you stay home. If you are determined or called and be found to have close contact within 14 days of a positive person, you stay home. If you travel anywhere, it's mandatory. See you in 2 weeks. Positive case on any other team activity. If we played a team and they report a positive to us, we have to assume we have all been in contact with a positive person, and we all must follow that protocol. Please remind athletes, this is a critical time because it's topsy turvy year. Please remind athletes, if they play on other teams, to let you know. If someone is at home is sick, don't come to practice and say, hey, my mom, my dad, my brother, my uncle, my abuelita, one of my family members is sick. I'm safe. If a family member is sick and you're living in quarters that it's not the great spread that Kanye West has, chances are it's just going to get passed around. If someone at home is sick, please, you stay home. Educate athletes when to stay home. I mean, nothing is more depressing for me from telling my kid that chomps at the bit to be in the gym, hey, you have a runny nose today, you're staying home. But you got to do what you got to do to protect the season, because you just explained to the kid, hey, you might just have a runny nose for this reason, that reason. Let's be safe. Let's protect our season. See you in a couple days. What do you do if you have a positive athlete? Now, at the start of the season, it's very easy. We're all going to test before the season positive. Boom. They sit out 10 days. They return to play with a clearance note from their pediatrician or a doctor. The note must specifically state they can return to basketball. Again, prior to the season, kid stays home. 10 days pass. Doctor clearance. Boom. They come on back. What happens if the team is exposed to a positive person? If any staff or team member comes into contact with a positive person, the program must shut down for 14 days. There's a lot of information out there. The policy for us is 14 days. Contact tracing will begin, and that is why it is very, very important for staff and all athletes to do the daily questionnaires, as this is our map to contact trace. Once I can access the data, who was in the game, who was in attendance, who was there, boom, then we provide that information where it needs to go. So please, it's a new process that you have to do, but if you understand the importance of the process and how it will protect your community, please just understand the reasoning behind why we are doing what we are doing. Athletes should test after 5 days and can return if they are negative, but they still got to sit out the 14 days from the time of exposure. So you may have an excited student call you, hey, I know it's day 7. I passed my test. Can I come back? Yes, after the 14 days from the initial exposure or the initial symptom. The clock starts now. The clock starts when you are exposed or when you had a positive test. The clock starts from travel. The day you return from travel is the day the clock ticks, not the day you left to go travel. When you get home, clock starts now. Again, contact information for all people exposed must be given to the NPS Health office immediately. Do not wait. You have burning embers of fire that are floating that we can contain if we have the information. Positive athletes must be retorted, excuse me. Positive athletes must be reported to NPS Health Department immediately. Immediately. If you're going to report a fire, you don't wait 20 minutes. Immediately. Positive person must isolate. I must isolate. Again, if you must isolate, you must stay in your own house. Try to contain yourself to your own bathroom. Keep your window open. Keep a space where you can stay away from other family members because even though you are positive, you still want to try to protect your family and anyone else by isolation. Cardiac considerations, and this is the biggest thing that keeps me up at night, cardiac considerations, and a lot of science is coming out from the NFL, and from, very highly paid college NCAA programs that's showing that out of all of their athletes that test positive, 1 to 1.8% of that population will have myocarditis, which just means inflammation of the heart. Now that's for that population, and I am in no way, in shape, or form the medical guru, but common sense. I'm thinking for our population that has a higher incidence of athletes that have asthma, maybe some sickle cell going on, um, maybe some lack of nutrition at certain stages. I believe that we might see a higher incidence, although it's just an educated guess. So I'm thinking with our athletes, we may have a little bit higher percentage of positive cases leading to myocarditis. And that is why I'm just saying, hey, um, there's no more telling an athlete to suck it up. I've heard some great zingers in my career here. My grandmother could beat you up the court right now. Yes. And I will miss those zingers. But now is the time to tell an athlete with any type of symptom that's red flaggish towards cardiac, sit out and let's get you referred. Let's get you double checked. That's what they're doing in the pros. That's what we should doing here. I can't send a kid right out to get a cardiogram right away, but I can, or an echocardiogram right away, but I can say, hey, you're having symptoms. And I actually did have an athlete who returned to practice after going to a doctor and complained of chest pain. And I just didn't even think twice. Yes, you're our best athlete. Yes, you're a Division I body, but guess what? Your heart needs to be reevaluated. So you're going to have to make some tough calls. And if it's right before, the big game, I'm sorry. It is what it is. Cardiac considerations in our populations, I'm guessing, is going to be a little bit higher than 1.8%. So think about this. We have, say, 120 kids playing. 10 test positive. So that means 1 to 3 of those children are going to have an underlying heart condition that's probably going to get missed. So, us as healthcare providers and people in consistent contact with our kids know their personalities. We're not going to tell them to suck it up now. Always, it's a new paradigm. Always err on the side of caution with this and understand there's some hidden stuff that this virus does because it attacks all organs. It's organ friendly for every organ. Thank you very much. Again, my name is Miss McCann, Colleen McCann, athletic trainer. I have had many names at many different schools. A lot of coaches know me as Red. That is fine too. Any questions or comments, we'll be on live to answer those. I do welcome email. I'm horrible at voicemail. Never leave a voicemail. It won't be checked. But again, I just want to thank you in a very difficult time. We're all attacking this and we're all allowing kids to get their yayas out, which they really, really do need now. My last thought for you is that there's a lot of mental anxiety and illness going on with all this change in paradigm for our children. So please try to be a little more sensitive and understanding that there might be a little PTSD, there might be a little over anxiety, and we are in charge of the kids' safety, and we have new paradigms. Are we going to make mistakes? Perhaps, but let's just all work together, keep each other covered, and do our best. Thank you very much.